Hello guys, welcome back to my shop. I'm Brilliant. Today we're going to make a camera arm. I already have a material here. This is for the arm and this is for the joiner part. I also broke phone holders for my phones, and I'm usually filming this woodworking with the phone. And we got some bolts and nuts and also a couple of springs to make the arms more resistant to the gravitations. So why I'm building these things when I already have a tripod? So basically my tripod have 3 legs, so it's gonna be a little bit more complicated when you need to reach certain angle. So my solution is to make a camera arm. So the camera arm will reach out the far distance from my little workshops. Like for example, I'm going to attach to that beam and then going through here. It's going to be long, it's around 8 feet I guess, but it's gonna be worth it. So let's jump into it.
First, I measured the camera arm range. I mounted it off center to get the right angle and used a dummy model to visualize the shot. I even consulted 2 AI to ensure the build was mathematically accurate. One miscalculation could break the camera, so getting the design right is non-negotiable. After measuring the workspace, I finally nailed down the design. This is the custom join shape I came up with. It's going 4 holes where the arm sections bolt in directly. Now there isn't exactly a rule book for this, but there are 2 things you can't ignore. First, the arm has to articulate or flip without jamming against itself. Second, the structural nut has to work. I actually asked ChatGPT to run the numbers for me. For my setup, using 80 cm arm, the sweet spot for the spacing between the parallel bars is 12 cm. If you were building a smaller version with 60 cm arm, you'd need about 8.36 cm. Why does this matter? Well, if that gap is too narrow, you lose torque and the arm gets weak. If it's too wide, the whole rig gets bulky and eats up your ceiling space. Here's a quick tip. Keeping the joints perfectly paired is critical. So the moment I drill the first hole, I immediately drop a bolt into it to lock it. This guarantees the second hole lines up perfectly, no slipping, no guessing. Next, I head over the descender to round over the corners. We want this smooth to the touch. By the way, if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing. I'm building this up one project at a time, and I love for you to follow along. So make sure you just hit the subscribe button so you don't miss it. Let's talk about the arm itself. I started with a single 20 cm wide plank of mahogany. I ripped it down into 5 strips. By the time the saw blade took its cut, and I ran them through the electric panel and sanded them. They ended up at about 3.5 cm wide. For the main triangle joint, I needed 2 distinct parts. one for the arm mounting and one for the camera mount. So I use the circular saw to split the piece right down the middle. And we finally have our first camera arm. But of course, nothing goes perfectly on the first try. I installed one of the joints completely backward. Just a classic facepalm moment. Time to flip it over and install it correctly. To make the rotation smooth as butter, I'm using a flange bearing. I'm powering it with M12 bolts to make sure this thing stays on the ceiling and doesn't come crashing down on my head. Technically, the M12 bolt has a threaded rod. That's a bit too aggressive for the bearing fit. I had to reduce the rod slightly so it sits snugly inside the flange bearing. This secured the rotation without any wobble. This is the mounting block. I designed it to hug the width of my workshop ceiling beam perfectly. I grab a chisel to carve out a spot for the nuts. This locks the nut inside the wood so it won't spin, which makes the hanging the arm up there much easier. Moving on the business end, this is the part that connects to the camera. I'm using a 1/4 inch bolt here, which is standard for most camera gear. To attach the tension springs, I'm utilizing the existing bolt from the joints, cross-matching them to the other arm using a ring and some screws. It's a simple system but effective. When joining the arm to the mount, we use the double knot techniques. The first knot holds it and the second locks it. This lets you keep the connection tight enough to be safe, but loose enough to rotate smoothly. I'm done installing this camera arm and now it's look great, but I have a serious problem here. As you can see, I put some wooden scrap. If it's not, it will wiggling like unconditionally. Like this, as you can see. Yeah, I think I just broke the bearing or kind of like that. I don't know, but we need to remove it and then install it again. Since this was my first build, I missed a detail. Relying solely on the flange bearing caused the arm to wiggle. It just couldn't handle the leverage, so I added a spacer block to close the gap between the mount and the arm. This extra support killed the wobble instantly. When I went to install it, the first was a little too perfect. I had to grab some 60 grit sandpaper and shave a few millimeters off the beam so the mount would side on. Finally, I rescued the arm with 3 screws on each side, and it works. It rotates and extends freely. This is the phone holder that you can find out easily on online store. It's very cheap, it's less than $1. However, it makes the weird creaking sound every time I expand it. Does anyone knows how to fix it? Maybe some wax? Let me know in the comment. But for now, I can just fold it up and save space. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next project. Adios.